Reed scandal is just the tip of the iceberg. There is inadequate staffing at our nation's VA centers and a mounting bureaucracy of red tape surrounding disability benefits that sacrifices the needs of our veterans, often with tragic consequences. It is a crime that many soldiers suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder and other mental health conditions have to fight to get their conditions recognized by the military. They are returning home to grapple with unemployment, homelessness, substance abuse, and even suicide. To speak to these issues, we have a distinguished set of panelists. I'd like to begin in order with our Iraq Veterans Against the War members, and I do want to reiterate the fact that they will be speaking for themselves, and their views do not represent those of any service or branch of the United States Armed Forces. Our first speaker will be Zollie Goodman, followed by Eric Estanzo, followed by Eli Wright, and Adrian Kinney. I ask that they introduce themselves and to tell you about their military service and their stories. Zollie.
Hello, I want to thank everybody for coming out, listening, giving us a venue. I want to thank the Labor College. It's a really wonderful place. My name is Zollie Peter Goodman, formerly known as Petty Officer Goodman, United States Navy, V-1 Division, Air Department, USS John F. Kennedy, CV-67. Hooah. Regardless of your political viewpoints, regardless of your personal feelings, one day the United States military will leave Iraq. When we do, all we will have to show for it is thousands of dead Americans. In the meantime, the war ends every single day for our soldiers because someone is discharged from the United States military every single day. They're discharged with no assistance into the VA system. Some people are discharged without knowing that they qualify for veterans benefits like I was. And with that statement said, I'm going to move into my testimony. I'm going to briefly cover something that happened while I was on active duty, which, as many people know, and many people are told to join the military, that you will receive health care, your family will receive health care, your dependents will receive health care, and no one can take that health care away from you. September 2005, I was on a training operation deployed out of Jacksonville, Florida. We were underway. My wife was pregnant with my unborn child. While I was on that training operation, my wife began the horrible process of a miscarriage. Being home by herself, the first thing she did was call the TRICARE hotline. TRICARE is the healthcare service that's provided to us in the military. The lady on the hotline told her that she probably already had lost her child and that there was nothing they could do. She asked for an ambulance, and she was told that if she had $1,500, they were willing to send an ambulance. Not having $1,500 on the salary of an E4, she chose not to get the ambulance, and she called a friend of mine and waited for him to come pick her up at our apartment and drove her to base. There's a hospital on Naval Station Mayport. It's called the hospital at Naval Station Mayport. And she arrived there at 4 p.m. She went inside, and the nurse told her that they were closing at 4:30 and they couldn't help her. She insisted to see a doctor. The doctor told her that they could not help her, and she was turned away. And she once again waited in the parking lot while she was bleeding for my friend to take her to another hospital 23 miles away called the hospital at NAS Jacksonville. No ambulance was provided. Nothing, no assistance, and we lost the child. She sent a Red Cross message to me on the ship. Upon receiving the Red Cross message, I requested to take leave. I went home on leave with no assistance, no plane ticket. The money that I did spend on a plane ticket to get home left me in a very hard position with a wife who needed health care that I could not provide for her, and neither could my government, apparently. Later on after that incident, I was discharged with no access to the VA, no assistance with help into the VA. Finally finding out that I qualified for veterans health care, I found the application online, filled it out, and sent it in to be processed. The processing of this application took several months. I don't know how many because I lost track of time, but it was at least 3. Upon requesting mental health and mental help over the phone, I was told that I could not get an appointment for 3 months, and I did not make an appointment. A few days later, I looked up the law, and the law says that the VA only has a 30-day maximum to provide an appointment for someone requesting an appointment. So I called this wonderful organization back, and I cited the laws of our wonderful country, and I was given an appointment, and like every other appointment that I've ever had from the Veterans Administration, it was 30 days later. So I went and I showed up at this appointment, and I was inducted into what is a processing system set up to deter people from seeking help. I was spoken to with no compassion. Every single phone call I make to the VA, I'm asked if I'm going to kill myself or somebody else in the most inhumane way you could imagine by the most inhumane people you could imagine. So after going through this process, the first thing they tried to do was medicate me. No therapy was recommended, medications were recommended. They gave me 3 different medications. The first was trazodone, the second was Paxil, and the third was gabapentin, a generic form of Neurontin. My doctor did not give me any information on these medications. He told me that PTSD treatment is not a science, that there is no science to it, and that you can mix and match these medications and something may work for you that doesn't work for another vet. So I left my appointment that day and I went home and I did research on the medications that I was given. And I found out that the main side effect of all 3 medications is suicidal thoughts and suicidal tendencies. And that's disgusting. And that man should be disgusted with himself, and every doctor that does that should be disgusted with himself. So upon deciding not to take the medication, I decided I would try therapy. So once again, I called the VA and requested therapy. I was told that I couldn't get an appointment for several months, and I cited the law again, and I was given an appointment 30 days later. So now I get to go to a 15-minute therapy session once every 30 days. And when I show up to my 15-minute therapy session, there's 15 other Vietnam vets that have the same 8 a.m. appointment that I do, and we all wait around in the lobby. Every single one of these vets is there seeking help and treatment for the same thing that I'm seeking help and treatment for, and they're all 30 years older than I am. They've been in the system 30 years longer. They've been taking the same medications for 30 years, the same therapists for 30 years, and they're still there, and they still have the same problem. So obviously, it doesn't work. There's no solution with the current situation. Sorry, hold on. So when I'm not at the VA and I'm around town, everywhere I go, I see homeless vets. Because 1/3 of the homeless population is veterans. And that's disgusting. You won't find a more rigorous interview process in the entire world than what it takes to join the United States military. To misdiagnose someone and tell them that they have a pre-existing medical condition that wasn't caught in the most rigorous screening process in the entire world for the greatest military in the entire world is hearsay. It's a lie. Everybody knows it's a lie. I know when I was in boot camp, I didn't see anybody that had any kind of mental trauma. In fact, when I was going through the process, they weeded people out. And they said, you can't join. It says here you told a recruiter that you thought about killing yourself one time. We don't allow that into the military, and we're sorry. I've seen that with my own eyes. So these men are lied to. These men are misdiagnosed, and once they're misdiagnosed, they can't reach the VA. They can't get help for something that was a pre-existing condition because it wasn't caused by the military. It is so detrimental, it is so frustrating, it is so angering to me, and I'm sure every single vet in this room that has ever walked into a VA hospital on their own accord to seek treatment or to somehow comfort the people that are trapped inside of these establishments. 10,000 Iraq war vets have committed suicide. My name is Zollie Goodman. I'm a proud warrior and a prouder patriot, and that's my problem with the VA.
We want to thank you, Zollie.